Hi, everyone, and welcome to yet another Art with Asha session. I'm Lauren Smith, one of the program coordinators at Sage Collective, where we're rewriting the narrative on aging. Living vibrantly is part of our mission, and while we talk a lot about healthy lifestyles, we also encourage older adults to find and pursue their passions and to wake up every day with a sense of purpose. I am excited to have the opportunity to introduce once again our very creative, talented guest and my friend Asha Gaines Smith. For those who have yet to meet Asha, she is a visual artist hailing from Brooklyn, New York, and a recent fellow graduate of the real HU Howard University, specifically the Chadwick A. Boseman College of Fine Arts, where she has worked also as a freelance artist for various clients, including ABC Studios, Look Me Up Media Digital Marketing Agency, and is currently a member of the New York City Center Creative Fellowship. Asha, thank you so much for joining us. We are so happy to have you here today. Would you mind describing a little bit of what you'll be walking us through today?
Yes, so today we are going to be doing some just basic still life drawing. If you guys have a mug or anything, I would say pick that up. We're going to be doing some of that. We're going to be using pencil and just going into the basics of still life and seeing how light hits objects and all of that. It's going to be fun.
Yay, so cool. I'm so excited. I can't wait to give it a try because I'm not the best visual artist. We're gonna give it a shot. And I trust that with your guidance, I'll be able to cook something up, something fun. And if our audience has any questions throughout our lesson today, please throw those in the comments as well, and I'll be sure to chime in and share them with Asha as we go along. So I won't take up any more of your time. Without further ado, let's get started. Asha, the class is yours.
There we go. Okay, so you guys are going to see some stuff that I was just like warming up with. I was doing some basic still life objects. You know, we have these basic shapes that we always start off with, especially when we're warming up. So let's go ahead and do some warm up. So if you were with me last time, you'll find these familiar. If not, that's really fine. I always like to warm up with some straight lines. And also, I like to do some circles, some basic squiggles. We do this because this is the foundation of what drawing is, right? We're always drawing with lines in some way, shape, or form. And warming up with it reminds us of the basics, right? It doesn't have to be clean. We're just getting used to remember holding our pencil, what that feels like, what it looks like when we do certain gestures. All of that is one of my favorite things to do. Just to get loose. Maybe do some squiggles. And maybe even test out what your pencil can do in terms of shading. So I have a 12B pencil here. You don't need like one of these. I also have an ebony, which I'm actually going to switch to because I think it'll help illustrate what I'm talking about better. This is an ebony pencil. They're really great because they can do a large range of shading. So when I press down way harder with my pencil, it gives me those really dark lines. Whereas if I go a little bit softer, see how light those lines get? And it just gives the image that we are illustrating some more difference in value, right? You can do this with any pencil, number 2, any of that. So now I would say let's start with our still life, which if you have a mug, that's cool. Maybe you have an apple, anything that you would have that's around your house, that's easy. So when we're looking at this object that we have in front of us, we're going to look at a couple of things. What shapes are within that object, and also where is the light source coming from? So we're going to start with those 2 things. I'm looking at my mug right now, and I see a circle at the top. Okay. Now, instead of drawing the outlines of that circle, right, like this, I'm going to focus on where the shading accentuates that circle. So, for instance, the inner rim of my mug has a lot more of that shading going on. Right, so it's darker there, there's shadow there. And I'm just feeling out where that shadow is, because that's what I'm drawing. I'm not drawing the outline of my mug. I'm drawing where the shadow is. I have two light sources here. I have my overhead light, and I have, you can see my ring light. So that is so you can see my paper. There's not too much, shadow on the paper itself. And that causes my mug to be in very sharp relief. So the shadows are maybe in places that we wouldn't expect, which is why I would say, instead of drawing what you expect to see, draw what you actually see, right? So there we are right there. And then, because I have two light sources, there's a little bit of a lighter shadow there. So this is the inner rim of my mug. Trust me here, okay, right? This doesn't look like a mug yet, but it will. I promise. So now I have this ovular shape right here. What else do I see? I see that on the left side of my mug, there is more shadow. So I'm gonna go in, bring that shadow in. If you guys have, or if you're drawing something different today, let me know, because I'm like here to give tips on maybe if you're drawing something that has more, less corners, is more round. I can also help with that. Okay, so I'm gonna also get into some of like one of my favorite things about really any pencil and drawing with pencil, which is that like you can see these harsh lines, they don't have to stay harsh. Okay. When you're using the side of your pencil, they're going to start to get a bit fuzzier. They're not going to stay like harsh lines. Okay. I see under the rim of my cup right here, there's a little bit more shadow because the lip of the cup is a little bit thicker than the actual body. There we go. Okay. Now I want to highlight how this part of the shadow is going to be a little bit darker than this part of the shadow, right? So when you see shadows, they are not blocks of color, right? They are not one block of black usually. There's some difference in the value, okay? So less light is reaching here, so this is going to be darker than, say, this part of the mug that is much lighter. Okay, so we have one side of the mug. Are you guys kind of seeing the vision? Are we seeing kind of where we're getting? I hope so. Let me know. We are then going to have the underside of the mug, right? Where is the mug casting a shadow? My mug is not casting a huge, really dark shadow, right? Again, because I have two light sources and one of them is very strong. So I'm going to look and draw where the shadow is, as opposed to maybe like giving into the urge to, again, outline my mug. And this shadow is going to be, yet again, deeper than some of my other shadows. You see how this is lighter? This one's going to be deeper. A lot less light is reaching this area. Okay, and I would also say at this stage, I would refrain from like an urge to erase. We're going to clean up later. Right now, we are really going in and drawing what we see. We're loose. The stakes are low, you know what I mean? It's okay if maybe some lines aren't as straight as you want them to be, some shadows aren't perfect. That's so okay, because we're feeling out what we see, is what I would say in an abstract way. And you see how I'm not always, I write like this, but my pencil doesn't always have to be like that. If this feels more comfortable for you, we're not in English class, so you can kind of adjust how you're holding your pencil depending on how you think you can best get to using the side of the pencil to shade, right? So sometimes I really enjoy holding my pencil like this so I can get light shading in there. I'm not pressing down too hard. As opposed to sometimes if I'm coming in with my shadow again right here, I want to press a little bit harder, so I hold it in a way that's more familiar so I can have a deeper line right there. Okay. Okay. Something else I want to get into is, I said we're not outlining. However, your mug or anything that you're drawing might have things around it that are darker. For instance, my desk is this like deep mahogany and my mug is white. So the value, the shade is a deeper, it's a deeper shade. Even though we're in black and white, you can still tell, like if this picture were taken in a black and white photo, this is going to be lighter than this, right? So I'm also giving value to the surrounding areas of my mug. So around here is deeper. And also, you really don't need to stay on, say, one side or the other. You see me jumping around? It's because I'm looking at the whole mug. I'm looking at the mug as a whole, as opposed to, say, this corner or that corner. Okay, so my mug has a handle on it. And I'm looking at this handle and I'm seeing it's kind of an irregular shape. So instead of, some mugs have a handle that look like a perfect C, like that, for people who are looking at the page. Mine is more of like an L shape, is what I would say. And it's at an angle. So that's more of what it looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and pay a lot of attention to that and draw what I see as opposed to what I would assume that my mug handle looks like. So right, I have an area, it's more tilted up. And see, I just ran into something. I realized that when I'm looking straight at my mug, the handle seems to be, from the angle that I'm looking at it, the handle seems to be coming out of this part because we are looking down at this mug. Erasers are so great for this. Okay, I'm looking down at my mug. So I see a bit of a handle right there. I'm drawing what I see, not what I expect. Okay, there we go. It's looking more like it. Putting three-dimensional items on a 2D plane can sometimes be challenging because you realize that you're doing a bit of a translation, right? You see things with 3 dimensions. Nothing is flat. If I reach out and touch this mug, it is not flat as a piece of paper. And I'm trying to translate that now onto my very flat piece of paper. So that's why I cannot stress enough, to draw what you see as opposed to what you think, what you expect. Okay, I see within this loop of the handle, everything is darker. Okay. Okay. I'm seeing some shadow on the right side as well because the mug is recessing into the background. Also, depending on what you're drawing, depending on the opacity, you might see some different things, or also how shiny what you're drawing is. For instance, my mug is, I'm pretty sure, ceramic, and it has this glaze on top. So there are going to be some areas that I come in with my eraser once I'm done and highlight, because it is reflecting, this light of my strongest light source. See, this is, so everyone makes mistakes. And I did exactly what I've been advising you not to, because I got a little bit carried away. I outlined the handle of my mug. However, that is not necessarily true to what I'm seeing. That's what I assumed. So I'm going to go, I'm really going to be observant of what is surrounding my mug. This value should be the same as this value because there's no deeper shadow out there. Okay. Okay. Now, I have been talking about using the side of your pencil in this kind of shading where we allow our pencil to do some of the work for us, right? We're not necessarily creating these harsh lines intentionally. However, just in case any of you guys out there, you may have a pen, or you may be interested in a different kind of shading, and I can show you guys some of my favorite ways of shading, which is hatching and cross hatching. And this is good for if you are using a pen because it doesn't require blending. Okay, hatching is a technique in which you use straight lines to create the effect of a shadow. And you do that by increasing or decreasing the amount of space in between the lines. Okay. And it's because your pen does not have the same ability to create lighter and darker lines as, say, my pencil. So let's do a little bit of an example right here. I'm going to create a little bit of my background surface. So I'm seeing that the back of my desk is darker than, say, the front of my desk, where it comes and meets the mug. So I'm going to do slanted lines. This is hatching. This is just hatching. These lines don't have to be perfect. And now I'm going to see, maybe that's not as dark as I would like it to be. I can go in again. Make those lines closer. And to really display that this is not about the amount of pressure that I'm putting on my pencil, I'm actually going to switch to mechanical. Okay. Then I'm going to make a little bit of a lighter shadow as we approach the foreground. You see how I'm allowing more space between my lines? And then even more as we come up. Now, in my opinion, something that can be a little bit easier than hatching and more forgiving is cross-hatching, which is going the other way and allowing your values to change that way. So I'm going to now create lines that are parallel to each other the other way. I'm going to show you how that helps with value. So I'm going to start at the back where I want it to be darkest. I'm going to keep those lines pretty close together. You see how that looks darker than these lines here? It's because they're closer together. Okay. So I'm going to go over that, keep them even closer together. I'm going to come up a little bit, separate them a little bit more.
I feel like this cross-hatching little moment may have been for me. I did bring a pen.
Pens are great. They're great.
Pens are great. And then we were doing the shading on the mug and I said, oh no, I brought a glass.
Pens are great. They can still be used.
Thanks. I always appreciate your supportiveness because I've given it my best shot. I'm going to show you what I've come up with so far. And this is what it looks like.
This looks good. Yes, Ooh. I see the shape. I see the vision. And I love it.
I see the vision.
Yes.
Amazing. Well, I do want to give the audience a little bit of a break, a little bit of a breather, because we're doing so good. Asha, this is going so well. So, we do have a bit of a video to share with everyone. It is all about the benefits of art therapy for older adults. So, without further ado, here's some more information on how art is beneficial for your community. And we're back just like that. Everyone, welcome back to part 2 of Still Life Drawing with Asha Gaines-Smith. Thank you so much for everything that you taught us this far. I know yours is basically at the finish line, but if you don't mind going through a few more details for those like me who need a little bit extra help, I know I'd appreciate it. So the class is all yours once again.
Yes, of course. I wouldn't even say that this is the finish line. There are a lot of things. So if you're looking at your drawing at this point, or if you're just joining us, I'm going to advise everyone when they look at theirs and they're like, well, it looks as if my drawing is almost fully formed. Observe it at a different angle and keep looking at your subject and observing how you can make small tweaks to make it look even more like the thing that you are drawing. So something that I like to do is stand up and look at my drawing because when I'm looking at it, this is on a flat surface. I am not looking actually at it straight on. Okay. I would actually advise anybody who can to tilt their paper up a little bit. If not, that's totally fine. But that can also be another way of observing your work in a different angle and then being able to improve it because you see it in a different light, in a way. If for lack of a better explanation, that's what I will say. That's what I'll say about it. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going in and cleaning up a little bit. I'm looking at my mug and I'm saying, okay, what parts maybe are a little bit rounder than I initially thought, right? So I think I didn't give enough width up here on this side. I think it's a little bit rounder up there, okay? And look, this whole part is still not developed. So I would say this area needs some more shading. My desk still needs some more value, the background, so I can understand where my mug is in its environment. And do you see how drawing my environment a little bit around it, giving that value to the environment around the mug has allowed for these areas where the light is hitting, right? Without me outlining my mug. Okay, this is where my less direct light source is hitting. So it's lighter. It wouldn't necessarily make sense for me to outline this because there is no outline. The difference that I see is because my desk is darker than the white mug that I have in front of me. And again here. You know what I observe about my mug? It has a little bit of a lip. A lot of mugs, they don't sit directly on the table, right? They have a little circle at the bottom, and you can't see it fully because of the angle that the mug is, but it peeks out just a little bit and the light hits it. So I'm going to go in with my eraser. That's also why you will usually see me with a mechanical pencil with this long, small eraser. I really like to get into the details with it. I'm going to bring in that shadow. Okay. You can even see, I would say, a little bit when I am drawing where my preference for cross hatching comes in. Because you see how I move my pencil so much. It's because I'm always looking for a difference in that value. And cross hatching, even though I am using the pressure of my pencil, does always help me. I'm always thinking that way, even though I am blending. Let's see. Do you guys see? I'm now looking at it in my camera. I'm looking at it from where I stand. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm seeing, I don't think these two sides are even. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm going to bring this in a little bit. this side of the mug, is it rounder or is it more sharp? These are the questions that I'm asking myself. Okay. Now I'm going to go in here. Sometimes you'll see with your subject, if you do have multiple light sources, there's going to be a darker shadow, and then there's going to be a less dark shadow. And I'm observing that here on the inside of my mug. I'm going to go in, and sometimes when I'm going in with my eraser, I don't have a kneaded eraser, which is used by artists sometimes when they want to take up, when they do not want to fully get rid of lines like dark lines. They want to take up, say, guidelines that they did at the beginning, these light lines. I don't have one of those, so I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to go in really lightly with light strokes to pick up some of this lead to make a value that I want a little bit lighter. I'm a fan of working with pencil for a lot of reasons. I like how it blends. I like that I can erase with it. I like that I can do multiple different ways of shading. And I find that every time I'm drawing, I fall in love with it a little bit more. It's one of my all-time favorite mediums. Pen is also a great, it's a great drawing tool to challenge yourself not to erase, because you cannot with pen. It allows you to make confident strokes, right? And I do try to work with pen as an exercise. However, pencil will always be just something that I really love working with. That and charcoal. They are both really great mediums to work with, and they're also affordable art supplies, as opposed to, I have some oil paints over here and they're not cheap. They're not cheap. Okay, so I'm seeing where I can maybe shore up some of my shading, right? This value is darker than this value. We don't want that to be a harsh line. Okay. You guys let me know how you're feeling about your drawings. A deeper value here I'm observing. Okay. We're really getting into the details here. So as I spoke about before, there are some highlights on my mug. And because of that, it's making me think creatively about how I will display the fact that my mug is shiny, right? I don't want the whole thing to be super dark. How am I going to use my pencil, use my blending to show these really light values and these really dark values? It's also why we did this warm up at the beginning. I saw how deep my value could get with this pencil, right? I see how dark I can get. And that informs then how I'm going to display the darkest shadows here and then the lighter ones. So I'm going in really light with my pencil here because the lightest value on this mug is going to be those shiny points. And I want to display that this mug is shiny. It has shine to it. Some people also like to work with white pencils. And those help you, or white pencils, white pens. And those help you bring out brightness. Maybe if you are on paper that you can't erase easily. My sketchbook is meant, it's more durable paper. It's mixed use paper. So it can take some erasing, it can take abrasion. However, if you're using newsprint paper, it'll rip if you erase too much on it. In which case you have to be really sure about what you're putting down. And then when you're going and bringing in these lighter values, you're usually using another layer of a medium, like a white pencil or a white pen. So we have a highlight here, a highlight there. So I've erased. I'm not seeing it as much as I would like, so let me go in and bring some deeper values. It is also always going to be easier to start off lighter and then come in deeper. Okay. There we are. See, what am I looking at? How can I shore up some of these shapes? And as you're shoring up, I even fall into it sometimes. Make sure we're not falling into outlining, because at the end of the day, that is what's going to make your drawing look more realistic. I see a highlight there. I see a highlight there. Okay. Go. So I'm getting gradually darker as I go. Again, we can stay loose. We don't have to be super worried about our lines being super straight or anything. We can always come back and clean those up. I'm seeing right here on my mug where this ring light is creating a reflection. So I'm just going in and trying to keep that light. It's pretty subtle. You know what I want to highlight? The fact that the rim of this mug is not very large. You know, I don't like mugs, you know, where you have to like put your, like, they're too big. I don't like thick mugs. which is why I have this mug in my house. And I want to embody that with my drawing as well. This mug is easy to drink with, okay? Gonna come in with that highlight. Again, that's why we're not like super stressed about keeping these lines super straight, because we can erase. And if you can't erase, if you have a pen, you can still forgive yourself by adding deeper values in your cross hatching in other areas. And what I mean by that is, if I'm here and I'm cross hatching, and then I'm here, and this is a deeper value because I'm keeping my lines closer together. And I'm like, oh, I want this to look even lighter. I'm going to make this darker value. I'm going to bring those lines even closer so that by comparison, we understand that this is much deeper than this value. I want to highlight that if maybe you can't erase because you're using a pen. That is always a possibility. And when I am sometimes challenging myself not to erase, that is what I go to. Okay. Now there's a secondary shadow because my desk is a little bit shiny under here. So this value is deep, this value is less deep surrounding the mug. Okay.
Asha!
Yes, hello.
Hello! Girl, you always kill it. This is so good.
Thank you.
This is so good. I'm only nervous to share mine because I know there's more work to be done. There's always more. You know what was happening? I was drawing mine, and every time I looked at it, I saw something new to add, which is so fun because it's been the same glass in the same spot the entire time. But every time I look at it, it's from a new perspective, or it's from just a different moment in time. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to stop rambling and I'm just going to show you. Ready? Oh my gosh. And this is what it looks like.
Yes.
I tried to use shadows. And she's glass, so she's a little intricate. I started adding things that I could see through the glass. But you know what? I gave it my best shot.
Yes.
Woo!
Yay! This is really great. I want to applaud you also for doing glass, because it used to be one of my favorite things because it is so difficult. It's a challenge. So good for you.
Thank you. And before you go, I just wanted to share some gems because you always, in the practice of it all, have little bits of wisdom that you're sharing throughout that you probably don't even realize are happening. But one is draw what you see, not what you assume is there. And you know what? That can fit for multiple
I'm
things.
so sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
That's all right. I can still hear you.
Sorry about that. I'm so sorry. I don't. My stopped working. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, absolutely. Draw what you see and not what you assume is there is one of my favorites from today. So I think that can fit for multiple places in life, not even just in drawing. But it was so valuable because we think we know what it is, and then once we hear that, we shift our perspective, and then you get beautiful masterpieces like yours, which it is just a mug, but it's more than that. It's so much more than that. You are such a star, and I appreciate your time today. But last one, before I let you go, the stakes are so low, erasers are great. That one was another one I felt like could fit more places in life of just breathe through it, just try. let the mistakes happen. Erasers exist for that very reason. So if you need to make changes, if it's not perfect and to your standards, stakes are low. Erasers exist, and erasers are great.
Yes, yeah.
But overall, how do you feel about class today?
I feel great. I really hope. I'm glad that you took those things that I said, and I'm glad that they were helpful to you. And I hope everyone continues to like work on their drawing. I had a really great time drawing. I always do, but I always love sharing what I love with others. So I'm glad you guys had fun with me today.
Absolutely. You are such a good friend of Sage and such a good friend of mine. I hope we'll have you back. Thank you for your time tonight, Asha.
Thank you.
Yay! And then to our audience, for anyone that was drawing along with us, please do share some of your images from tonight. You can share them either to our Facebook page or send them to advice@sagecollective.org. Thank you for all of the people that were here live with us today. The No Spring Chickenista and to Mike Brown, thank you for engaging and interacting with our content. We hope to see you back again. And if that's all for tonight, please do follow us on social media. We do have all the things from the Facebooks to the YouTubes, as you've seen us here tonight, also on Twitter and on Instagram at Sage Collective Living. Please do check out Sage Advice Vibrant Learning on YouTube as well, and visit our website, sagecollective.org, to learn more about our Sage Advice Vibrant Learning programs and to register for upcoming classes, because we do have some things cooking for you. Thank you again for joining tonight, and we hope to see you back soon. Have a great rest of your night. Bye, everyone.